James was less than a year older than I, but very developed physically and extremely intelligent. He was not only a student at the Eclectic Institute, but also a teacher of Latin, Greek, grammar, and mathematics, and I was a student in one of his classes. At the time, he was romantically involved with another classmate, Mary Hubble. In fact, he was engaged.
No, I was not engaged.
Everyone else thought so, as did Mary.
I was 21 years old and I felt trapped. I wrote to a friend, "Shall the inconsiderate words and actions and affections of thoughtless youth fasten their sad consequences to me for the rest of my life, or is it right to shake them off? Should I repudiate the tenets of my Christian upbringing and be branded a rake, or bury myself in a living grave of marriage?" I sought guidance from Amelia Booth, an older teacher at the college, to whom I had grown very close emotionally, and who probably had affection for me. In February of 1853, I very gently let Mary know that marriage to me would be an injustice to her.
I was very fond of Mary and fully disapproved of the way you treated her.
Then in November, I went on a trip to Niagara Falls. Oh, the beauty of it was so breathtaking, I wanted to share it with someone whom I admired greatly. Lucretia, my sister, please pardon the liberty I take in pointing my pen towards you this evening.
I answered James's letter, and thus began a very strange romance indeed. James, he was such a passionate man. I was not able to express my feelings. Maybe it was my upbringing. Mother rarely kissed me, and I never recall being kissed by my father. But I felt such stirrings in my soul my body could not express.
Her chaste embraces aroused in me no delirium of passion. And she had these foolish notions about women's equality.
They were not foolish. In an essay I wrote entitled Women's Station, I raised the question, is it reasonable that the same number of stitches, equally good, should be worth less because made by a woman's weaker hand? Men and women should be equally paid. A female student also has a right to voice her opinion. And so at our commencement exercises, I delivered an oration. At the graduation, there were more rumors of James's fickleness. The next 5 years of one of on-again, off-again love.
I went east to attend Williams College in Massachusetts. You know, it was so strange. When I received Crete's letters, great emotion would well up in my soul. Yet when we met, there would be a chill in the air.
Dear diary, with a warm, large heart, overflowing with love, at times he overwhelms with affection, and then he turns within himself and I'm neglected.
In the summer of 1855, our relationship came to a crossroads. I came back to Hiram and we met. As I read the pages of her diary, my eyes were opened. It stung me to the soul to think that my manner had been such as to give her such suffering. From that journal, I read the depths of affection that I had never known she possessed. A new light had burst upon my soul, and I felt as if the veil which had hung between our hearts was lifted. Oh, Crete. Oh, Crete. Please, 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 I am sorry for all my transgressions. We will write daily, and I want you to join my mother and me in a daily practice we have of reading a specified chapter of the Bible at a given hour every day. That way we will be united in prayer as we will one day be united in matrimony.
Dear James, is it true that you did come again, that we talked, looked into each other's eyes and down into the depths of our hearts? The darkness, doubt, and cold distrust, which made us both so miserable, formed but the background on which was brought out so clearly, so vividly, that beautiful brightness. Now, my own, my loved, my noble James, am I not happy? What a beautiful world I'm living in. All my life before has been in a mist, a cloud. Oh, how beautiful to live in such a world of light and love.
Dear Crete, your letter expresses no wish and no thought, no emotion that my own soul does not fully respond with the full tide of my affections. how inexpressibly blissful it would be if I could but take you in my arms tonight and feel the throbbing of your own heart against mine and the thrill of your ardent kiss. To gain money, I had been preaching at the local Disciples of Christ services, where I met a Mrs. Maria Lerner. She invited me to spend Thanksgiving with her family in Pottsville, New York. And it was there I met Rancy, Rebecca Selly, 24 years old, single, and very attractive. We began a relationship about which I told Lucretia, and Rancy too knew of my fondness for Crete. In fact, I invited Crete up to meet Rancy. And again, after months of being apart, our reunion was another disappointment. I received this letter from Crete when she returned home.
How many times have I felt that if you could only love just enough to come and tell me, I could endure the worst. But to see you shrink away as though you could not endure my presence and hide from me the truth was almost more than I could bear.
Well, the truth was that Rancy and I had become more involved and more intimate, and she wanted to marry me. At my graduation from Williams College in 1856, both Crete and Rancy were in attendance. But I returned to Hiram with Crete because I was to become an instructor at the Eclectic Institute. And although we were near to one another, we may as well have been apart. The mores of the time demanded that we should either get married or stop seeing one another. In September,
James, if you wish, I release you from our engagement.
no, I can't lose you. Just give me more time.
My life had to go on. I could not spend it just waiting for James. So I took a job teaching in Cleveland. I also took painting lessons, went to lectures, and even defied the disciples' teachings and went to the theater, which I enjoyed. I came home for Christmas, and James visited me most every night.
As the year ended, I wrote in my diary, I feel that I'm not as good a man in heart as I was. Perhaps the business of living is the business of growing hardened to many things in life. I long for the warm Christian feeling I have had, but which I feel I will never have again. Oh my God, may the sins of this closing year be blotted from thy great book of thy remembrance, and may my soul be fitted for heaven. In April, I told Crete that we should try life in union before many months. And over the next months to come, I often wrote to Rancy. I spent time with my old friend, Miss Booth, and it just seemed that every meeting with Crete was unsatisfactory. Crete, I'm going to marry you, but I must admit I'm doing it more out of a sense of duty.
Well, then I do not want to marry you.
On November the 11th, 1858, we were married in Crete's home.
Back in 1875, on our anniversary, James wrote,
This is the anniversary of our wedding, which took place 17 years ago. If I had the time and the ability to write out the story of Crete's life and mine, the long and anxious questions that preceded and attended the adjustment of our lives to each other, the beautiful results we long ago reached and we are now enjoying, it would be a more wonderful record than any I know in the realm of romance.